Now, though, let us walk with this dying remnant of the once proud Chinese Jewish community along its final steps of life. It's the mid-1800s, and gone are the days when only 200 years prior, even intelligent lay people in the community were writing books on Judaism. Today, nobody can even read Hebrew, and visitors to the area describe the heartbreaking scene of Jews taking their Torah out to the marketplace and hanging a large sign under which they sat, saying that they will offer a large reward and high position to anybody who can please tell them what their holy book says. But nobody did come to tell them what their holy book said. Yet they didn't give up, and in 1850, T.H. Leighton, the British consul in Amoy, receives a response letter dated August 20th of that year from Jiao Nianzu, a Chinese Jew of Kaifeng, pleading for his assistance, and he requested that his letter be forwarded to the chief teacher of the Jewish religion. Now, personally knowing 500 people who would happily answer to that title, I don't think it would have been too difficult for Mr. Leighton to have forwarded Nianzu's letter to some rabbi, but alas, Temple Hilliard Leighton passed on, and his widow immediately set about forwarding Nianzu's letter to various missionaries, and to the best of our knowledge, to no rabbis. And here is a taste of that last desperate appeal of Nianzu's, one of the last remaining yet still struggling to live Jewishly of that community. Quote, "Morning and night, with tears in our eyes, and with offerings of incense, we pray that our religion will once again flourish. We've searched everywhere, but could find no one who understood the letters of the great country, which causes us terrible sorrow. But now your unexpected letter fills us with joy. The receipt of your holy letter assures us that our holy religion is still alive, and that in the great nation of England it lives on. However, this letter, not having been forwarded, did not help their great religion live on in China. Though in 1851, the North China Herald newspaper carries a human interest story regarding two people recently come to Shanghai from distant Kaifeng who were circumcised and who claim to have come from a community where all men are circumcised as babies, something which the newspaper found quite extraordinary. Around this time, we also come across a very far-out mention of a number of Chinese Jewish coolies, as they were referred to at the time, supposedly working the railroads in the American West, though I cannot vouch for the authenticity of that claim. But the accuracy of that claim being whatever it happened to have been, back in China, a Kaifengese Muslim reports regarding the local Jews that though they be almost entirely ignorant of their religion, they will on no account allow any bearer of pork to pass within the vicinity of their synagogue. As well, he informs us regarding some of the holy days that are still practiced when this community has lost almost all knowledge of Judaism. He informs us of a fast day, which is obviously referring to Yom Kippur, that the Jews referred to as the Fast of the Judge's Gate. I guess something along the lines of Tzom Shar Hadayan, and which certainly is very Yom Kippur relevant. As well, there was a holiday relating to the eating of wafers, of course, Passover, and there was a holiday which I would say was descended from Purim, which celebrates their ancestors' rescue from destruction. And then there was a holiday, obviously referring to Hanukkah, where very interestingly, though I don't know what to make of this either, they seem to have had the custom of handing out Hanukkah geld, of handing out Hanukkah money, something that is currently very acceptable in Jewish communities in the West. And I wonder whether perhaps, I consider it rather unlikely, but whether perhaps there's some sort of parent concept or parent cultural connection between these distant communities doing such similar practices. Well, as this community is taking its last and final gasp, a gallant, noble knight appears in the form of the Shanghai Society for the Rescue of the Chinese Jews. But alas, far, far too little was done by the Shanghai Society for the Rescue of the Chinese Jews, and what was done far, far too late. It seems they may have had some initial successes at curbing the enthusiasm of missionaries in the neighborhood of Kaifeng, but beyond that, we don't know of much that was done on behalf of the Chinese Jews. But that in 1902, an older man arrived from Kaifeng to meet up with his distant cousins in Shanghai. Of course, by traditional Jewish law, this man was not technically considered Jewish, owing to the many generations of intermarriage among his forebears. However, it was found that he had already been circumcised. Apparently, his father had been sufficiently connected with the culture that he had circumcised him. However, this most religious member of the community, or certainly one of the most religious members of the few remaining people in the community who comes out to Shanghai, had not circumcised his small son who came out with him. And this son was then entered into the covenant of Abraham among the Sephardic Jews of Shanghai. Around this time, the Jewish Encyclopedia comes out, and included therein is a fine article on the Chinese Jews of Kaifeng, at the end of which are a few paragraphs headlined, "Attempts to Rehabilitate Colony." However, the colony was not rehabilitated. As an aside, by the way, the Jewish Encyclopedia, though it's a century old, is an excellent resource on all things Jewish, and it is available in toto on the World Wide Web, owing to the fact that its copyright has run out. In any event, though, regarding our subject at hand, the next year after coming out to Shanghai, the older man dies and is buried in the Jewish cemetery in Shanghai, while his son stays among his co-religionists in the city for some time and is generally considered to be the very, very last member of this ancient branch of the House of Israel. Wait! Even in the darkest and most closed decades of Chinese communism, hundreds of Kaifengese still insisted on labeling themselves racially as Yutai. This even at a time when the Chinese recognized the existence of no Yutai within their borders and forcibly changed their status to Han. And over the course of the past 2 decades or so, with the gradual opening up of China, more and more outsiders have taken an interest in the remnants of the descendants of this ancient Chinese Jewish community, though increasingly they're becoming rather hard to find. But last year, 20-year-old Wen Jingjin went before the Beit Din in Haifa, the religious Jewish court, and left with her 1,000-year-old Jewish surname Jin intact, as her ancestors had been called on her father's side as Jews for 1,000 years, and with her own new personally chosen Hebrew name, Shalva, thus becoming the first descendant of the ancient Jewish community at Kaifeng to return to within the fold of the peoplehood of Israel. And thus the genes and spirit of this ancient, remarkable, tenacious Jewish community will live on within the house of Israel. May it be. The Jews of China.